Today, my dear friends, we are discussing the legacy of not only Brandon the Brony Pony, but Brandon the Persona Pony. But before I discuss that with you guys, I just want to thank you all for the overwhelming support on the last video. I had never even thought that I would reach 150 subscribers by the middle of the month, but getting almost 300, I'm really happy and I'm super grateful that you guys are sticking around to watch me make more videos. Wait, what's going on? Oh, okay. I guess I'm good enough to be an internet personality now. Huh, cool, I guess. That was weird. Aside from that, we are going to talk about a phenomenon that has been appearing on my TikTok For You page and is completely relentless and will not leave me alone. His name, some of you may already know him, is Brandon. He is Brandon the Brony Pony, also known as Brony Pony Productions. And a couple of years ago, on the 14th of May 2023, he decided that it would be a good idea to upload the first episode of his series, Persona 5, The Phantom Thief from Another World. I believe it has only recently gained popularity within the Persona community due to its incredible level of cringe and also because of the dude himself. However, I will be leaving that until later. The topic of this video series that he's created, Persona 5, was released in 2016 in Japan and later 2017 worldwide. It follows a group of troubled high school students, the protagonist and a collection of compatriots he meets along the way. All having lost their place to belong in a broken world, these troubled teenagers gradually realize that they are living in a toxic and dangerous society resembling a prison full of slavery, oppression, and injustice, ruled by corrupted and twisted adults. They can't live with the system and can't live without it. They live dual lives as rebellious phantom thieves of hearts. Like half of the Persona 5 fanbase, I have barely touched the games. My Nintendo Switch does not even register the game as having any hours, because I have barely even played it. However, I can say that I have watched the anime, so I've basically played the whole entire thing. And our wonderful protagonist of this visual novel series believes that he is, like them, just part of a group of misfits who want to fight the oppression of the society that they live in. And that leads us to probably one of the best written stories of our time. So, in Persona 5, The Phantom Thief from Another World, Episode 1 visual novel series, what happens, I hear you ask? Well, we are first introduced to probably one of the most magnificent things that the human eye could ever witness. And I have to warn you that it might bring a tear to your eye, just because of its sheer beauty. After watching such a magnificent piece of animation, we are then subjected to a mysterious voice, who is in fact the narrator of the story. On our screens, we are shown a house that looks incredibly dilapidated and probably is a stock image of somebody's murder basement. But then, we find out that this is in fact Brandon's home. We are then shown a picture of his TV screen, where of course this little weeb has the language set to Japanese and only a measly 107 hours in the game. However, here we find out that he was actually teleported to the Persona universe after finishing the 3rd semester of the game with a secret new game extra. He suddenly wakes up in the Velvet Room, which, for all the non-Persona fans, is a rift between consciousness and subconsciousness in one's mind. It's often used in the games to awaken or level up personas. Yeah, you guys thought that just because I haven't played the games, that I don't know Ball. Well, I've still got it. I know Ball, okay? For some reason, he doesn't even use the Persona 5 asset for the Velvet Room. He uses the one for the mobile gacha game. But you know, I guess maybe Brandon couldn't find it on the wiki? Or maybe he just felt like it because there is some wonderful ocean ambience that sounds like it was recorded just from those jellyfish tube things going on in the background. Anyways, Brandon asks himself,
huh? Where the hell am I?
With the attendant of the Velvet Room, Igor, sat right in front of him. Igor says that he is in fact
going to a whole new world.
And with that, before Brandon can ask any questions, he's sent into Persona 5. We are then subjected again to a beautiful opening sequence sung by our very special Brandon. And the excitement does not stop there, because we are then shown an absolutely beautiful intro graphic, just to make sure that we understand that this guy has gone straight into the world of Persona. Brandon then wakes up in the middle of Shibuya, laid on the floor. He is found by two high schoolers, Ryuji Sakamoto and Yusuke Kitagawa. You will quickly find out that Brandon's microphone quality is genuinely terrible, and I do not understand why. Because bro had no problem sending a new microphone to a minor just to voice act his My Little Pony shit, so I don't really understand the logic there. However, you will also understand that these voice actors that he had managed to hire actually do a great job. But I really don't understand what they meant in the script by especially someone like you. Are they inferring that someone as wonderful and amazing as Brandon would not pass out in the middle of the street? Brandon then completely outs himself as a freak because he instantly knows their names. Of course, this is some beautiful script writing, some wonderful dramatic irony there. We, as the audience, know that he is just a silly, quirked up guy who ended up here. However, to them, he just looks like an insane stalker. I think the only justified part of this conversation is Ryuji noticing that this guy is just really weird. But of course they just let him hang out with them anyway.
Awesome! I'm so excited!
Clearly, this guy's sheer awesomeness has led Yusuke to be so inspired that he wanted to create a contemporary or oil pastel painting. Of course, any sane person with a slightly wrinkly brain would understand that contemporary is, in fact, not a medium for art, and it's actually just an umbrella term. Then the pair no longer start to question why he knows where they hang out, and leads this stranger straight to Café LeBlanc. But I will give props to him, he does bring this up less than 10 seconds later, and Ryuji is the only logical one in this series so far. As soon as they enter the cafe, Brandon starts tweaking out over the sight of his waifu, which Ryuji then mistakes for choking and starts attacking him to try and get him to stop dying.
Oh crap, oh crap, oh crap! I've been looking after this guy for a day! I am not letting him die on me!
I'm not joking!
Live, damn it, live!
Yeah, they've known each other for about 10 minutes, and so that has already happened. But also, within this 10 minutes, Brandon is already admitting his crush towards Ann, which then elicits a reaction within Ryuji to say all of his iconic voice lines at once.
Wait a second! So you're telling me you got the hots for Ann? Dude, no way! For real? Way to go!
He then drops his epic lore, and then suddenly nobody cares anymore, and Morgana is getting cucked by the hot and sexy Brandon. So, as normal people do, they decide to go to the arcade with a complete stranger. But before they can leave, Ann and Ryuji decide to have a small argument about desserts. Morgana comments that he thinks they're like a married couple. Why is this cat low-key shipping the girl he has a crush on with the dude he finds annoying? Our eyes are then blessed to the first stock image that is shown in the series, and Brandon shows Ann just 1% of the power of his autistic Riz. After finishing at the buffet, they go to a hallway that I can only assume is an area of the back rooms. And to be honest, I wouldn't have minded if he got murdered by some eldritch beast right there. Once they arrive at the arcade, there's about 10 seconds of complete nothing apart from arcade noises, and of course, there's just more of Brandon pursuing Lady Ann. The Riz King manages to bag her for a date, despite her just saying that she was not interested and would rather take things slow because they had just met an hour earlier. After the group's escapade to the arcade had ended, Brandon goes back to the cafe. Sojiro then offers to give him a place to stay in his own house. When they arrive back at Sojiro's place, he offers to provide Brandon with pillows and blankets. However, the everlastingly greedy Brandon asks for a job at LeBlanc. Dude then says yeah. What the hell, sure. Sojiro completely forgets about the pillows and blankets, yet Brandon still goes sound to sleep. But wait! The episode does not stop there. We have been introduced to the villain of the series in the epilogue. We get dumped with information about this woman's appearance instead of just being shown her, because that's just how all visual novels are meant to be written. And obviously, her motivation for being a villain is because Brandon is just so hot and sexy and wanttable that she has to have him. We also get some peak sound design with the Discord notifications in the background. Really, that just adds to the entire ambience of the series itself. But then, unfortunately for us, the episode ends there. And then, in an even more unfortunate turn of events, Brandon went completely silent with his Persona series. This was because his voice actors for over half of the Persona cast actually left the project, which is completely justified considering his history and behavior. But never fear, he did end up coming back, unfortunately for everybody, with 2 more episodes a year later. Before we move on, however, I would just like to clarify that the voice actor, yes, singular, was so brave for voicing every single woman in the cast apart from Futaba. I don't know how they put up with his bullshit, because I definitely would have left in the middle of recording. Keep in mind, this guy would sit in Discord calls listening to them speak while they voice acted. He never even paid them. I think the most the voice actor for Arn got paid was 20p in DeviantArt credits. This guy was a mega freak. Anyways, I should waste no more of your time and head straight into episode 2. This guy decided to switch it up a little with his disturbing intros, and rather than being a persona pony, he's now back to being a Brony Pony for some reason. Yeah, I have no idea. In our introductory sequence of the episode, Brandon seems to be more employed than I am, because if I was any more employed than he was, I would not be here recording this video. Personally, I had no idea there were good beans and bad beans to brewing coffee, but I guess Sojiro just has an evil killer bean somewhere hidden in his shop. Ren, the original main character of Persona 5, then enters the cafe, and Brandon has suddenly conjured up an entire jug of coffee. He poured some for Ren, and it's shit. I don't think this guy has ever written himself to have any redeeming qualities apart from being extremely attractive. Ren then states the group are heading to Destinyland, theme park in the Persona 5 universe. Despite the fact that Brandon is meant to be working his job at the cafe, Sojiro says, "Don't mind that, bro. Have a good time." I don't know if you guys have ever had jobs before, but that is not how they work. I think if I ever tried to do that, I would get my ass whooped and I would never be able to enter the premises again. So maybe I take that comment about him being employed as fuck very much so back. When they arrive at the theme park, Brandon, of course as the group leader, is the first one to make a call, and Ryuji and Ren agree to head to the roller coaster with him. They wait in line with the wonderful stock image at the back, and the three only just find out that the rest of the group were also waiting in line for the roller coaster. No idea how they didn't see each other before, but, you know, plot goes crazy. My only question here is, why the hell are they putting a cat on a roller coaster? They aren't even in the Metaverse, so Morgana isn't a manifestation of whatever the hell he is. He's literally just a normal cat. I don't know why the security there is just letting them do that. Look at the absolute alpha in the back of that roller coaster. Ren does not give a single flying fuck about what's going on. He barely speaks in the series. He's literally just there to aura farm. We then witness a second instance of the Riz King inviting Arn to go to a ring toss game, just so he can win her a prize. I don't know why he decides to change the resolution here. Maybe it's just a film technique that I'm too unprofessional to be aware of, but it really is something. Of course, this creepy older man decides to ship Arn and Brandon together, as you do, because Brandon is just so obsessed with writing this forced relationship into his script. Brandon then miraculously hits all the targets with the beanbags, and the shocked vendor decides not all winners actually earn a prize. Anne is pissed off by this information and starts the most violent scrap you've ever seen in your life. Wow, she is such a perfect alpha for the Omega Brandon. I also just want to point out the constant screaming sound effects from the roller coaster you hear in the background.
One thing's for certain, you do not want to get on my bad side. I'm a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, it's natural because they're in a theme park. I just really wanted to point it out, to be honest. The moment then suddenly cuts to a new character, Mishima, talking to an unknown character. We then find out that the character is Akechi Goro, the original villain of the Persona 5 series. Any fan of Persona 5 would also know that this friendship makes no sense. I feel like Akechi would find him incredibly annoying, but I'm also a fake Persona 5 fan, so I don't know if I can back this information up. Then, before Brandon can introduce himself, Mishima decides that Anne and Brandon are together like every other character in this goddamn series. This guy really does not make anything subtle. Mishima then encourages Akechi to talk to the pair. I have no idea where he was before this. I thought that he was just standing right next to the guy, but I guess he was just hiding behind the lamppost back there. They then have quite a casual conversation, but for some reason, everyone just keeps referring to the pure broad daylight as the evening. No idea why, I think it's just someone being stupid. I feel like the only accurate thing portrayed in this script is the fact that Akechi just trauma dumps for absolutely no reason at the smell of chestnuts. But I guess the voice actor is actually pretty good too. Again, the group leader decides that they should head to Big Bang Burger to have some food after such a wonderful evening. However, in a sudden turn of events, we find out that the previous villain seen in the epilogue of the last episode has actually been following Brandon the entire time. However, the group simply head to enjoy their meals. We then get to hear the disgusting eating noises that Brandon makes, and Yusuke deems this the perfect moment to attempt to confess to Futaba in the middle of the restaurant surrounded by his friends. This diva just decides to keep building her fried tower. Get this woman in the Weatherspoon chip measuring Facebook group. Haru then explains that the group should go and see a movie together. I low-key forgot that she even existed because of the lack of presence she has, but I guess that's also normal for the main game, so there's nothing different there. They of course argue about the movie that they want to see, and Brandon brings up the fact that he loves romance movies. Arn gets so excited by this and decides to hug him extremely tight. This is not the first moment we see of Brandon writing her to be completely unhinged when it comes to him. After they leave the movie theatre, they decide to finally go home. Little did they know, the villain, Kichigo, was planning her assault on Brandon in the middle of a busy Shibuya street. I can't really imagine what kind of position they're in because they just start talking to each other about how Kichigo plans to get Arn expelled for stealing her beautiful hunk of a man, but I have no idea where Brandon is in this. He's just completely silent. After Kichigo makes her intentions known to the group, she leaves. Unfortunately for them, they can't devise a plan to work against her because she's naturally wealthy and has complete control over the decisions made by the school. Brandon, still confused, asks who the hell that was that just jumped him. Ann explains that Kichigo is the daughter of one of the most influential families in Japan, and she often uses her wealth and status to gain leverage over poor, beautiful, sexy, hunky men like him. And the drama doesn't stop for the group because their phones suddenly speak to them. This is the future of AI, guys. We should not be taking this shit lightly. They are then sent to the Metaverse. And I don't know why it's suddenly in the realm of Minecraft, but it is. So that's where they are now. But that's about it for episode 2. We shall waste absolutely zero time and go straight into episode 3. Again, Brandon decides that his other 2 intros were not good enough, so he makes a new one. Arguably way more beautiful than the other 2, so I can't really blame him there. At the start of the episode, they are outside the school in the Metaverse, which is still visualized by a Minecraft build. There's not really much to talk about here, they just kind of complain for a bit. I can say that Brandon clearly upped his budget for this episode, because he's just started to add on-screen sound effects just to aid the hard of hearing. How sweet of him. I'll also say that the music team is really talented. I think it's just a solo producer, but he makes a really good soundtrack for the villain in my opinion. But Brandon just so terribly mixes the tracks, he just can't create a good transition at all, so it's not even worth it. It genuinely is just so ass. Just listen to it.
I take it back. She's exactly like Kamoshida.
For fuck's sake!
No, I'm not letting this happen again.
An epic battle suddenly ensues, with Brandon captured inside the Metaverse school. The fight ends, with the scene cutting to inside the building, with an evil Kichigo explaining to Brandon that he can't do anything, because he's just a petite little boy toy. However, Arn is his one true love. He would refuse to get with this woman, so he rejects her completely, and her first move is to order the guards to kill him. In a blink of an eye, Arn comes to his rescue, probably falling from the ceiling or something. I don't really know where she was, but she does in fact stop the guards from killing Brandon. I also have no idea where the others are, but I guess this is just meant to be another romantic moment between Arn and Brandon. Kichigo, just standing in the middle of their conversation, decides that she won't kill Brandon, but she'll kill Arn instead. How twisted and evil. In an attempt to save his wonderful Lady Arn, Brandon tries to attack Kichigo, but his pathetic, personaless form just lets him get hit and he falls to the ground. However, this clearly was a moment of determination and resolution for him, as he is spoken to by his persona, encouraging him to get his ass up. Because it's time to go beast mode. Again, this is another misinterpretation of the concepts in the Persona series, as really, personas are a manifestation of frustration, and they manifest in rebellion against oppression. They're often spoken to by a shadow version of themselves, but no, Brandon is built different. He doesn't need any of that. He just does this shit for the love of the game and for the woman he wants. He also completely just gives in to whatever thoughts he was having, which makes no sense. And low-key, when he was screaming, he really sounded like a baby sheep just crying for help. I really wouldn't want to visualize what he was doing when he made those noises.
Are you seriously considering watching your beloved suffer like this?
The persona itself is not even on theme, by the way. He just really wanted there to be a shirtless horse involved, which I guess is pretty on brand. And another on-brand moment for Brandon is his use of the Omega Slash. I guess he kind of knew that he was a bit of a freaky dude. The rest of the group then managed to arrive at the location of the fight, joining in to help Brandon defeat all the shadows. Here's the second instance of Brandon writing Arn to be way more in love with him than she would be. Well, after the fight is over, they decide that they have to give Brandon a code name, and of course, he names himself Stallion. Incredibly hunky of him. They exit the Metaverse and head back to the cafe. The group makes a game plan to head back to the Metaverse the next day in order to attempt to defeat Kichigo before Arn can get expelled by the end of summer break. They then split ways in anticipation for the day ahead of them. It immediately cuts, like without any hesitation by the way, to the next day. While they were discussing their game plan, Brandon decides to subtly bring in the worst My Little Pony reference that he could possibly think of. Before the group can cringe, they head again to the Metaverse to gather intel. But unfortunately, that's where episode 3 ends. And again, in typical Brandon fashion, the series came to a halt. This time I'm really not sure why. The voice actors may have left him again, and I really don't blame them at all, but I have no idea. Luckily enough though, on his channel, that is not where the Persona content ends. He has anticipated the third bringback of the series 5 months ago in the form of a new sung intro by himself truly. He also has an equally ear-blessing ship audio titled A Romantic Rainy Evening at LeBlanc. And yeah, it sounds as terrible as it looks. Really, I don't know if I should play this because it genuinely is terrible and it gave me the worst kind of chills. But if you do want to listen to it for whatever horrific reason, then I'll put it in the description down below. And while you're there, of course, you better not forget to like and subscribe. But other than that, there's really not much else regarding Persona on his channel. Who knew Brandon the Brony Pony would only make My Little Pony content? And if you feel a little bit bad for making fun of this guy on the internet, just know that you shouldn't. I think I'll turn into Chris Hansen if I keep talking about predators on my channel. However, he has done some pretty bad stuff, which I will also link down below because I genuinely don't think that I could speak about it on YouTube without it getting taken down. It really is that horrific. Just note that there are toes and fictional horses involved. At the end of it all, Brandon the Persona Pony has changed the hearts, get it, of many people. Honestly, the trajectory of my life could not have changed for the worse. And so I am so glad that I got to share this beautiful series with you guys. I'm really grateful for you all sticking around, for you all subscribing to my channel, and I'm really happy that I could have reached my goal before this month even finished, and even more. Anyways, thank you all for sticking around to the end of this video, and I really hope that Brandon the Brony Pony Productions will never see the face of YouTube ever again.